Sex ed. What is sex ed and why should we teach it? Well, we should teach sex ed because sex is something that every person comes to share at some point. Even those who identify as asexual at some point have sex, or and even if they don't, sex ed is something that needs to be taught for those who are going to be sexually active. It should be taught in most high schools, even though it's not. It's not taught in most high schools. I didn't receive a sex education. I received my sex education through watching TV and through Googling it myself. And I know while it might have been easy, it's easier to avoid this topic if we just let students find out on their own. Finding out on your own is dangerous because some things about sex ed can only be learned through having sex and that trial and error. One of the things that we need to talk about is STDs. Another, we'll talk about babies, and then we'll talk about abstinence or safe sex, which would be a more better way for you to teach this. Well, STDs are sexually transmitted diseases, and you guessed it, they're diseases transmitted by sexual acts and sometimes non-sexual acts, depends on which STD we're talking about. Gonorrhea and chlamydia are examples of those transferred by sexual acts, while HPV and herpes can be spread through touching of infected skin. And then it doesn't even have to be a sexual act. If someone, that doesn't have to be a sexual act. Then there's AIDS and HIV. AIDS and HIV can be spread through blood contact. The picture on my right shows teen STD rates as of 2017, according to the CDC. If you notice, a lot of the states in the southern region, where a lot of religion is based, have a lot of colors because they're teaching abstinence, or if it's taught at all. Because in Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi, and Arkansas, none of those have a requirement for you to take a sex ed. How do you prevent STDs? Well, STDs can only be prevented through two things. Condoms is not a 100% preventative. It is about 99% effective, and it has its flaws because it cannot protect you from HPV and herpes. It can only protect you from gonorrhea, chlamydia, ones that are spread by semen and or vaginal liquids. The only 100% effective way to protect yourself from STDs is abstinence, or to not have sex at all. These and why that may be your choice for now. But every day, someone has sex, and every day you're going to face that choice on whether or not to have sex. If you do choose and make that choice to have sex, be sure to get tested for STDs afterwards, because some of them can be treated. In other ways, it can be treated, not cured. Ones that can be treated, not cured, are HIV and AIDS. HIV and AIDS is a disease that ravages the body and causes your immune system to fail. It can be passed through sexual contact, non-sexual contact, blood contact. It is a very dangerous disease, and the only way for you to be safe is to use condoms or for you to never have sex. Why should we teach about STDs? We should teach about STDs because it helps reduce teen STD rates, it will help reduce teen HIV and AIDS rates, and it will help lead to safer teens and smarter adults, because more of them will be living. Those of them who already don't trust their parents enough to talk to them about sex will be left afraid. In a school, you're supposed to be in place of the parents. And that is what many courts have ruled over years, is that you should be in place of the parents. According to Planned Parenthood, Sexually transmitted infections can be spread during many kinds of sexual activity, like oral sex, anal sex, and vaginal sex, and sometimes just skin-to-skin contact through your genitalia area. Some infections are spread through bodily fluids like semen, vaginal fluids, and blood. Others can be passed by the skin of your mouth or genital rubs against someone else's genitals. Like, those ideas would be more of your HPV and your herpes. The next thing we need to talk about is babies and what to do if you end up pregnant. Well, first you have to know how you get pregnant. First step, be female and have a uterus. And let me say, like, even though we should teach safe sex, it also needs to be taught that safe sex is not a 100% preventative to getting pregnant. You have unprotected or protected sex to get pregnant. Semen enters the cervix into the uterus, and where it goes into the fallopian tubes where it meets the egg. And according to my diagram back here, you can see the whole process of becoming a fetus. How do you prevent it? This map on my right shows you those teen birth rates in the States as of 2012. The only ways to prevent pregnancy is still not a 100% prevention. Like I said, not a 100% prevention, but you can have birth control in many different ways. There are birth control pills, hormonal and non-hormonal. There are IUDs or intrauterine devices that are implanted in your uterus to prevent you from being pregnant. There's Nexplanon that works by going into your arm and works by thickening the membranes in your uterus so that fetuses can't implant themselves. And then there's the birth control shot, or Depo-Provera. And it works doing the same thing as the Nexplanon, but it only lasts 3 months while Nexplanon lasts 3 years. Then, of course, there are condoms. Condoms are for your male counterpart, and you should, if you are going to have sex, have birth control of some type for your female, and for the male, wear condoms if you're worried about getting pregnant. Now, if it's a man-on-man to prevent STDs, STD spread, you need to wear condoms. Now we're going to talk about abortion, or abstinence and sex, or safe sex, which should be taught. The pros of abstinence is that it's a 100% preventative to both STDs and pregnancy. The cons is that it has a religious undertone, and it's not those who teach abstinence are not teaching medically accurate information. The pros for safe sex is that it prepares for future partners, less teen pregnancies in those who have sex, and less STD rates in those who have sex. The cons is that maybe teens might have more sex, but if they're being safe, does that really matter? I want to talk about a study that was done in California. In 1992, the state teen pregnancy rate was 157 per 1,000 teens aged 15 to 19, the highest rate in the nation. To combat the problem, the state launched a 3-year abstinence-only education effort, only to cancel the program in 1995, when it had absolutely no effect on teens' decisions to start having sex. In 2003, lawmakers instead passed the California Comprehensive Sexual Health and HIV/AIDS Prevention Education Act. The law forbade classes from promoting religious doctrine or biased against people, and said that all sex education programs had to be medically accurate and age-appropriate and comprehensive. In 2005, California teen pregnancy rate was 75 per 1,000 teens, more than 50% decline, dwarfed the corresponding national decline of 37%. To this day, a large minority of teen pregnancies tend to end in abortion. With California's decline in teen pregnancy rates came the decline in both teen births and teen abortions. Abortions in particular dropped from 76 per 1,000 teens in 1988 to 26 per 1,000 in 2005. With that, we can see that teaching safe sex has a greater effect on whether or not teens have children or have STDs. It shows that by teaching safe sex, teaching sex ed medically accurate, that students can learn and students can be safe. That is why we as adults should prepare the world to be better for our children. That's why we need to prepare them so that they don't make the same mistakes we did.